This week's test drive, you can say, almost fit in the palm of my hand, a more scaled down approach than we've had in recent weeks, but I still tasked it with getting the job done, getting us out of town for a weekend getaway. And surprisingly, well, it truly measured up. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now behind me is the 2021 Hyundai Venue, and even though I had small hopes of what it can do, it actually delivered bigger inspiration than I thought it would. This week's destination was the western part of North Carolina, aka the mountains. This vehicle having to deliver scenic overlooks, a couple of waterfalls, and maybe a modest hike if we find time. But where it all began is the, well, delivery there on the inside. Room enough for 2 adults, 4-legged friend, and the cargo enough for the weekend. And how it did quite well is because of the offering here on the outside. Not a huge footprint, but basically squared off lines. Other smaller vehicles like this typically get too sculpted, too low to the ground. This one really starting with the overall cathedral-like feel that you feel once you get inside. Squared off lines here at the back with a nice offering with this hatchback, and of course the transformation there on the inside, being able to tumble seats and do what you need, delivering that extra space like we needed for the weekend. Now, overall, this vehicle certainly has a scaled down look, and at first glance, you might think it might fit in the back of some of my recent test drives in the cargo area of the Cadillac Escalade, maybe in the truck bed of the Chevy 1500. But once you kind of give it a once around, kick the tires, climb inside, it does feel quite a little bit bigger than it sees in person. Now, by the numbers, this vehicle measures just under 160 inches overall. Comparison to mid-size segment sedans, that's going to be around about 185 or above, so clearly about 2 foot shorter than what I prefer. As for wheelbase, around about 99 inches. Width just shy of 70 inches, and height just over 5 feet tall. But one number I thought was a little bit bigger than I thought was the ground clearance, just around about 6.6 inches, giving you great elevation and not necessarily an SUV-like feel, but much better than the average sedan. The biggest attitude on this vehicle may be the grille warfare. I'll show you that in just a second, but everything else kind of that scaled down approach, specifically at the 4 corners, 205, 55s wrapping a 17-inch wheel. Some other design cues to point out. Modest midline right through here, but you will see a little bit of tapering, and it angles up just a little bit at the haunches, give a little bit of flare out. Again, maybe a Mini Cooper S. Really a great comparison. That's a great vehicle. This one as well. Now, body color all the way around this vehicle, right down to the mirrors. I like that with the black accents. Smaller vehicles got to stay away from chrome, really darkening things up, get a little bit more sporty atmosphere. Brush look with this roof rails. That's going to come in handy, of course, for people that get up there to the mountains. Putting some extra toys up here on top really going to come in handy. Small packages sometimes have big attitudes, and for the Venue, they saved it all for the grille warfare. First starting with this blunt force trauma, pretty much sawed off right here in the front, and this huge offering when it comes to the grille. Now, it does have this kind of open air look with these little portal designs, but interestingly, only the bottom half engulfs the air. Modest engine here, doesn't really need that much airflow. What I also like when it comes to airflow is down here in the bottom portion. This tucks in and is actually operational. Air tucking through here and dumping out in the inside of the wheel wells. As for the rest of the design, nice body color all the way around. You do have this rubber fascia that starts here and does sweep around the vehicle as well. Also, when it comes to headlight assembly, turn signal in the upper portion, headlights a little bit lower in kind of this bobble eye look, but it does have this outside bedazzling for the daytime running light and a singular cylinder look when it comes to the headlight. Big attitude there with the grille warfare, but down to business here at the back end, all about cargo and capabilities when it comes to the inside of this vehicle. Now, before we get there, let's talk about design. Again, modest curvaceousness back here, pretty much otherwise straight up and down. A little bit of elongation with the roof line, giving that typical profile we've seen. Nice stylizing of the rear taillights, almost a Zorro pattern there built into the LED. Also, body color all the way around this vehicle, that lower cladding, of course, sweeping out. Big aggressive lighting for the reverse lights, really giving illumination when you're backing up. But the big story for me was what lies in wait in here. Now, when it comes to operation, fairly straightforward. Going to find this niche, but a nice electronic release, just simply press right there, rises out of the way. Now, again, with this ground clearance, that really gives a little bit of height to this vehicle, easily handling my 6 foot 2 inch frame underneath this rear hatch. As for cargo space, what you're going to find is a total of 18 cubic feet behind the second row. When that is laid flat, going to almost double to around about 31 cubic feet. But what's interesting interesting is what can transform here. When it comes to the cargo floor, you're going to notice these tie downs here on the outer side. That means you can kind of put one of those cargo nets. That's going to keep things from sliding around. Also would be nice to put a rubberized mat back here, especially if you do like we did, go to the mountains, you're going to have some mud in the muck. That'll help protect this as well. But what I like is the operation that lies beneath here. It looks like a standard cargo floor, but instead it actually can transform. Just slide this back. You'll get to this kind of outer rail here. It will dip down. That will allow you to ease the floor even lower. Then it makes kind of a lower subset floor, kind of a two-tier system. So maybe your daily driver, you need a little bit more elevated, but like us going out of town, drop it down. It's going to give you a lot more vertical height, and again, accommodate that around about 18 cubic feet. Now this has this built-in rear tonneau cover, acts like a shelf when you need it. Pretty much when the hatch goes up, it goes up. As you lower it down, you can create this kind of rigid shelf. Not gonna hold a lot, but you could put smaller items. Even better, helps for prying eyes, knowing what you have back here. But if you need to, you can just kind of remove it. That's gonna allow you to kind of use cargo in a bigger sense, pretty much allowing you to lay this second row down pretty easy. Now what you have on the outer side is these little handles. Just simply lift it up. That's gonna tumble this forward. And as you notice, the headrests do have to be removed because otherwise it won't fully lay flat. All you have to do there is, of course, come around, remove the headrest, and then it simply lays flat. But as you can tell with the floor down lower, it doesn't make for one seamless floor, but that's made real easy. Just simply pull this back up, lay it back flat. That's going to give you a nice seamless floor from back to front, kind of like how we set it up. Now what's great with the cargo area is you really have a lot of vertical height, but with a rigid tonneau cover in place, that can prevent taller items from finding a home. But what I like is how Hyundai thinks of everything. Pretty much in most cases you'd have to take this out, remove it, but instead they created these little grooves right here. So just simply pull it forward, then ease it back into that groove, and it finds a nice locking area. Take these ropes, hide them back here. Now you can put your bigger items in and they'll extend up into this open area. Scaled down approach means a scaled down engine, though it doesn't take a lot to get this vehicle going down the road. Now, arguably on the open highway, I did tend to stay in the middle lane, if not the far right, because a lot of bigger is better attitudes. Always wanted to zoom on by. Now, what this vehicle delivers is a 1.6 liter inline four-cylinder, around about 121 horses and 113 foot-pounds of torque, but 4-hour one-way trip. What I liked is fuel economy, averaging around 30 to 31 up to 33 miles per gallon. Smart key system on the Venue means you keep the key in your pocket. A nice start stop button for the ignition. Now moving over to the infotainment system, this is the same systems you will find on the Kia models, keeping a nice non-distraction viewpoint, basically time, temperature, and kind of the ghost mode there for navigation in the background. Obviously, if you want to have your favorite viewpoint, just simply hit the shortcuts down below. That'll bring it up full screen. I do like the simplicity of operation. Volume over here on the left, tune select knob means you can kind of just scroll through your favorite station as well as other shortcuts down below. Now, we did use navigation quite a bit. One thing you will find in the western part of North Carolina when it comes to cellular service, sometimes you just have to opt for the GPS because cell service isn't that good. And I like the fact that we can just kind of navigate with these, go to certain search points, and it pulls it right up. So when the phone's not working, this actually is the next best option. Now this does seem simple to use, but interestingly, a lot of my occupants got in wanting to adjust the climate controls, and they did the same thing I did. First off, temperature select, pretty much straightforward over here on the left, no dual zones up front. But when it came to fan speed, well, this just seemed like the logical place to select. I just wanted to turn this right here, but instead the fan speed is over here on the right. Now I assume if there is a dual mode option, that does become operational. In that case, this becomes the temperature select for the passenger, but in this case right here, obviously fan speed on the right. This is just simply for display as well as telling you what mode select you're in. Now naturally the climate control wasn't rocket science, so this place shouldn't confuse me either. Traditional car charging area here, USB, and a USB power over here. Now what I found when I connected to this one, really charges up your phone quite quickly, giving you a lot more power there on the right side. This vehicle priced in around about $23,000, so I didn't expect a lot of extra bells and whistles, but a nice feature I found was between the front occupants when it came to heated front seats, 3 different levels really to heat things up as needed. Another surprising feature was drive selection mode. Now with that engine up front, I didn't expect it to really kind of hammer down the road, but you can opt for normal, sport, or snow mode. Now naturally for my test drive I did keep it in normal, mainly because I just didn't expect there to be sport option whatsoever. Shortcuts we found on the steering wheel: entertainment here on the left side, cruise control over here on the right. A nice surprising feature as well is lane awareness. That button's going to be found over here on the left side. Now it's not going to give you that autonomous feel, but it will alert you if you divert from your lane. That does it for this edition. We're on a test drive behind the wheel of the 2021 Hyundai Venue. A scaled down week, but a big delivery when it comes to taking us across the state and having a weekend getaway, because it's all about big fun, not necessarily big delivery. This vehicle truly shined. Again, with the overall cargo space, plenty of decent room on the inside for the passengers, but best off, our 4-legged friend definitely found overall comfort. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.